All right. Hello, everyone. Let's get started. Pest control owls. So, who's using owls? Vineyards use them to control gophers. Sugarcane growers use them to control cane rats. Orchards use them to control mice and gophers. Farms use them to control mice and rats. So, really, they're quite useful for killing rodents. Let's meet some of the owls. There are many types of owls used, but some of the main participants we're going to talk about are horned owls on the top right there, barn owls on the bottom right, and then the Ural owl on the bottom left there. So, what are these owls eating? Owls will eat just about anything that's smaller than them. They'll eat insects, they'll eat rabbits, shrew, skunks, squirrels, vole. There's a vole up there on the top right eating an apple. Mice, fish, snakes, birds, and they'll even eat other owls. There on the bottom right, you can see that's a horned owl, and he is taking a snake for a free ride back to his nest. So, why an owl? What makes an owl so great for pest control? Their natural diet is mostly pests, as we mentioned before. Uh, their silent flight and sharp talons make them effective predators. Owls are nocturnal, which is important for pest control because many pests are also active at night. Um, Here we have on the bottom right a barn owl in flight. I'd say this is as close as you'll get to seeing a ghost. They're pretty quiet and smooth. So, how to train your owl? Owls used for pest control are typically not trained in the same way that falcons or other birds of prey might be trained. Instead, their presence is encouraged through habitat management and providing suitable nesting sites, such as nesting boxes. These nesting boxes mimic natural tree hollows where owls would typically roost and nest. Providing suitable nesting sites encourages the owls to take up a residence there. So, farmers don't have time to train an owl, and the owl doesn't need to be taught how to eat. However, there are some cases where owls have been trained for specific tasks related to pest control, although it's less common. For example, some individuals or organizations might reduce the owl's food intake while it's in captivity. Using this, captive owls are taught to respond to certain cues or to associate certain areas with hunting opportunities. In these cases, owls might be trained to fly to a specific location whenever it's time to eat. Overall, while training owls for pest control is possible to some extent, it's not as widespread or systematic as the training methods used for other birds of prey. In most cases, efforts focus on creating the right conditions to attract wild owls to areas where pest control is needed. Onward. The effectiveness of owls in pest control on an apple farm. So, a recent study attempted to measure the effectiveness of these owls in terminating vole. On the top right again, you can see that is a vole. Some of their steps to their methods included installing those nesting boxes. They estimated the vole population density systematically by observing each of the 39 apple orchards and measured them individually and then set them into equal quadrants. They then put live traps and accounted the voles by putting small dots on them, small dots of paint, so then they couldn't be recounted. They then defined a breeding territory, so owls were not forced to breed, rather, they were influenced with the presence of these nesting boxes. If there's a surplus of food, a pair of owls will decide not to breed. So the owl boxes were strategically placed outside of the orchard. Um, and then moving into the results, let's get the cursor. Moving into the results, we can see that in a year's time, uh, the vole populations were decreased by 53 to 70% in these orchards. So it seems that they're pretty effective. Next, we have another study, Gopher Busters, which labeled owls as the ultimate natural pest control option. Sarah Cross and Roger Baldwin conducted their experiment using very similar methods to the previous one, and they determined that annually an average owl nest was calculated to consume 843 pocket gophers. So there on the right, you can see a pocket gopher. 578 voles, and 1,540 other prey items. So that was mostly mice. And for reference, a nest consists of a pair of owls, two mature owls, and then anywhere from 2 to 5 babies. So now we have this final article, which was conducting a similar study to the previous two, but they ran into an issue. There's an ethical concern when influencing these owls to consume rodents that are pests on a farm, as opposed to letting them naturally feed, because some rodents might have been exposed to rodenticide. Though the risk of rodenticide exposure of barn owls can be avoided by simply not using them on a farm, it is something that is taken seriously because many owl species have been on the decline, and in particular, barn owls have seen a gradual, steady decline. So here on the right, you can see a less fortunate barn owl. This owl specifically passed away due to toxins during their study. They observed the pellets regurgitated and discovered that its death was directly linked to rat toxin ingestion. And this triggered a brief halt in their studies. So, the American Bird Conservancy Organization, along with many others, are spearheading this ethical issue. They have made an ethical commitment to conserve birds overall. So they provide billions of dollars worth of insect and rodent control goods to farmers and other areas of agriculture. They're also fighting to block, restrict, ban dangerous pesticides and toxic chemicals because they can not only kill owls but also any other unlucky species in the area that comes in contact with these toxins. So, moving along, before we go our separate ways, here are some conclusive key takeaways. So, using rodent toxins in combination with pest control owls can cause harm or even death to the owl. Although using owl for pest control is a great way to ensure that the owl population doesn't perish. The use of owls in agriculture is a sustainable and environmentally friendly approach to pest control because it can reduce or eliminate the reliance on chemical pesticides. All right. Thank you guys for bearing with me and thank you for your time. Take care.